Intel's in huge trouble and a 3080 Super might be releasing soon. Let's talk about it. Before that, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss another video. Alright, so during Computex 2021, AMD actually had a conference where they showed off a whole bunch of new cool stuff, but one thing that I thought was an absolute game changer was their 3D chiplet technology. So originally AMD, much like Intel, had a monolithic design for their CPUs, then they went to the MCM design where they're having a multi-chip module design, and then they finally went to the chiplet design where they could build CPUs with 16, 32, 64 cores because they're using that chiplet design. And now it looks like they're going to be moving to a 3D stacked chiplet design, which is actually going to allow them to increase their L3 cache by 3 times. And so actually when they went ahead and showed off this new improved L3 cache on a modified 5900X, they were able to see a 15% improvement in gaming on average when compared to a regular 5900X, with both of the CPUs locked to 4 GHz. So, and of course that's just, with no other improvements being made to the 5900X. It's still on the same 7nm node, it's still on Zen 3, so there have been absolutely no further improvements, and just having that extra L3 cache alone was able to give it that extra 15% improvement to the performance, which is absolutely massive. And I think this is going to spell some serious trouble for Intel, because if we do a little bit of quick napkin math, we can see that if you take a Zen 3 processor and then we take the rumored about 20%-ish IPC improvement that we're expecting to see out of Zen 4, and then we actually take that times a 10% increase to the clock speed that we're also likely going to be seeing out of Zen 4, and then we also add on this additional 15% performance increase that we could probably be seeing out of the increased L3 cache that's likely going to be on the Zen 4 processors, as this will be going into mass production by the end of this year according to AMD. Well, then overall you're going to be looking at a Zen 4 processor that could be up to 51% faster in gaming when compared to a Zen 3 processor. So that's going to be absolutely huge, and honestly I don't know how Intel's going to be countering that, because I do actually have a couple sources at Intel that tell me about stuff, and they've all been telling me that their 10nm node is kind of a joke and it's not going to be a huge improvement, or at least not the improvement that you're going to be expecting over the current 14nm node that they're using right now. So until they get to 7nm, Intel's going to be in some serious trouble, especially with AMD making big power moves like this. But now let's go ahead and talk about that 3080 Super and 3070 Super. Now this information comes from a user over on Reddit, and I'm going to be reading some information about that over on a videocards.com article, so I will have all that linked in the description below. But in any case, according to videocards.com, quote, according to a leaked roadmap which allegedly originated at Lenovo, the manufacturer will launch a ThinkPad X1 Extreme G4 gaming laptop equipped with Intel Tiger Lake H series CPUs and up to a GeForce RTX 3080 Super laptop GPU with 16 GB of memory. They then go on to say later in the article, quote, the product listing also features an RTX 3070 Super with 8 GB of memory. So yeah, this is definitely some really bizarre news, as Nvidia seems to be cranking out more and more GPUs, yet they still can't keep up with the demand of their original RTX 3080, and we're looking at about nearly 8 months out from the original launch of that card, so it's very bizarre to see them launching even more GPUs. Now it looks like, at least according to this leak, we're only talking about laptop GPUs so far. However, there is a possibility that they could launch a super refresh on the desktop, but I think this isn't going to happen, of course, unless one thing does happen, and that's if AMD gets very, very competitive. So if AMD suddenly starts meeting demand, they both start meeting demand, and then suddenly AMD decides, hey, we're going to actually start, price cutting our GPUs to undercut Nvidia. Well, in that case, Nvidia typically doesn't like to actually cut the price on their GPUs, so they would likely replace them with a super SKU. So you could take something like the 3080 and make some changes to enable possibly 16 GB of VRAM on that card, though to be honest with you guys, I don't think you'll see a 16 GB version of the RTX 3080 on the desktop, as that would have to have either a 256-bit or a 512-bit bus, as they don't really seem to be doing 1.5 GB chips or anything like that anymore. So yeah, I don't see 16 GB 3080s coming to the desktop, though you could potentially see like a 12 GB 3080 as a 3080 Super, basically replacing the 3080 Ti. I could definitely see a 3070 Super with 10 GB of VRAM. as well. However, this definitely isn't going to be happening anytime soon, as both AMD and Nvidia simply cannot meet the demand right now and are in no position to be reducing their prices or getting very aggressive against each other. So yeah, this is definitely interesting news to hear about, but if you're waiting for it to come to the desktop, well, if it does end up happening, it's going to be a long time. But hey, that's just what I think. Do you think that Nvidia is going to actually release an RTX 3080 Super and 3070 Super? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and Nvidia get more stock. Also, if you want to see more, click here. You won't be disappointed.